I'm doing a number of uh, lessons in the form of a video just to um, help with the ninth lesson, just in case we don't reach the ninth lesson. And because of the time limit we're going through, as we've had many days that we're off for certain reasons, such as national holidays. So this is the ninth lesson entitled Job Ads. By ads, we're talking about advertisements. This is a simple word that is a word, but the full word is advertisement, from the verb to advertise. So here we go with reading into writing. So in groups, what happens after secondary school? You literally, when you finish secondary school, you need to pass a test or sit for an exam, which is the national exam in Tunisia. In Tunisia and other countries, we call it the national Bac exam, which you will hopefully succeed in a matter of two or less than that, in a matter of 1 month. So later, when you get the back, hopefully get the back exam, you are supposed to move on to university, choose what kind of university you'll go to to complete your education and go on studying at higher institutions. So what happens? What plans do students have for the future? So this depends on every student and what plans he or she has for his future, the path he wants to follow, and the education he wants to go through, his hopes, his um, interests, and his what he intends to do in the future. Most of them are going to finish. I'm not sure if they are. Most of them is going to finish their education, but some will definitely do that. Others, how many? The third question, others won't, of course. The third question starts with how many. We use how many to ask about the number. How many you think would go on studying at university? Some will, some won't. How many would go straight into work? So some people, if they are not successful in getting the back exam, or if they're not successful at university, are going to look for a job, for a position that suits their skills. Maybe start working straight away, directly, or try to find some kind of uh, some kind of training sessions, some kind of um, education that will help them to get a certain job they have in mind. Can you guess the percentage of both categories of students? Some those who will move on and try to find a job, you need to make a guess here. So my guess would be, let's say 30% will abandon their education and go straight to the job market and try to find a job. In the fifth question, of course, when we talk about 30% that will start working straight away, we mean 70%, the other percentage will go on to university and try to graduate and finish school. This doesn't mean that all of them will finish, but you hopefully will. What do young graduates do to find a job? So, like everybody else, you need to look for a job. Here you have an example of what you're supposed to do. These are the steps to get a job, starting from kindergarten when you are very young, and then you move on to primary school, and then to elementary school, or what we call preparatory school, and then to secondary school, or what is called in America high school, And then to university or college, and hopefully in the end you're going to graduate. So graduation, getting a diploma, a degree, or a general word is qualification. When you finish school and you graduate, you're supposed to start looking for a job. So you start looking for job ads, either online in newspapers or magazines, or you may also go in person to job agencies and employment agencies to ask if there are any vacancies. By choosing the right ad that suits your qualifications and studies, so you need to choose the right ad and then to apply for the job. This is a key word here in this lesson: to apply for the job vacancy, to apply for the position, either online, in person, over the phone by calling them, or by sending a letter of application or an email to apply for the job. This is what we need to focus on, sending a letter of application or an email, because that might be one piece of writing that you may be asked to do in the writing task in the back exam, or the mock exam. Writing a letter of application or an email to apply for a certain job. You may be given the job ad, and you may be asked to write a letter of application or an email of application to that very position. And then when you choose the job, you may be asked or contacted to sit for a job interview. This is another possible form of writing task, a job interview in which you'll be asked about your education, your experience, if you have any, your hopes for this job, what you know about the company that will or may hire you, and other questions about yourself, your interests, your hobbies, your skills, your knowledge, etc. Like any other test, the result of which might be either getting the job and start working, or you start looking for another job ad, so you go back to this step in here. We'll go back to the book. Here we have the positions offered, the requirements, and the advantages of these two ads. Here we have an example of a first ad: Europe's leading international tourism consulting firm. We've seen that a firm means a company. It's a consulting firm that offers consulting to other institutions or companies. Urgently asks. By urgently, this means that they need this employee as soon as possible. They need seeks, so they need consultants and project team leaders. For both short and long-term projects in Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean, candidates must be a condition, is a condition for getting the job, must be proficient in English and ideally in at least one other language. Candidates are sought in the following tourism areas: cultural tourism, ecotourism and conservation, community development and rural tourism, HR, human resources, stands for human resources development and awareness programs, quality control systems and certification, marketing, tourism development planning, legislation. Candidates are invited to send their CV with a photograph. So this is the first one. We may move to the other ad in here. Aston Business School needs a lecturer, a senior lecturer, and or a reader in economics. That is the salary, annual salary. By annual, here we know because we have this expression here, per annum. Exceptionally, maybe more than that. So applicants should have, this is the requirement, a good first degree and a doctorate degree, a qualification in economics, a PhD maybe in economics, a strong commitment to high quality teaching and research, and a demonstrated ability or potential to publish in leading journals. Candidates must be willing, you must accept to teach and research in a multidisciplinary environment within the strategic management group. Further details and application forms may be obtained electronically at this website, or from the personnel office or over the phone on that number, email a quoting reference number so that they know exactly what ad you're talking about. Closing date of the application, the deadline is the 4th of April. So that is Aston University for quality and equality. So let's go back to what we have seen here. So you can pause the video to see we're talking about these two job ads, the examples, the page, the two texts. So you have the type of the text, the vacancy we're talking about, the exact position we mean by that, the requirements. You must be proficient in English. You should have these qualities, the advantages, a high salary in the second, working in a leading international tourism consulting firm in the first. That is an asset, because if you go to another company and tell them that you have been working in a leading international tourism consulting firm, that would be something good. And how to apply? In the first ad, you can only apply by sending a CV with a photograph. Meanwhile, in the second, you need to send an email to apply for that job. Moving on to part 2 of this text of this lesson here, and we have the lexical focus. So try to match the words in column A with those in column B. You can pause the video, give it a try, and then get back to the following correction. Again, pause the video to see if you have been lucky in matching them. We also have in lexical focus sorting out the words and phrases in boxes to get pairs of synonyms. So try to match them in a pair of synonyms and what they mean by that. We've seen that a deadline is a closing date, etc. I'm trying to make this quick as much as possible. On page 234, I think the job ad in the second text is more suitable for me as I am studying economics. We're talking about economics. You're supposed to be economics students here. That's what I'm teaching, at least. So if you are studying economics, it would be better for you to apply for this job because it is related to economics. This is just an answer, a possible answer to the following question, which goes here. Which one do you prefer, the first or the second ad to apply for? So the letter or email will be a formal one, so we cannot and we should not use contractions like these in a formal essay. You should write the expressions in full form. And you're supposed to apply for one of these ads, one of these positions. This is we're supposed to put the heading. By the heading, I mean your address and the date, and the inside address, the name and address of the person to whom you're writing, to that company or firm, and here your address and the date. But forget about that. In the back exam, you don't need that because you're not supposed to write any of that. You start with dear. So you start with the salutation, dear. You can add with dear either dear plus name, the name of the person, dear plus your relation, to that person. For example, name dear John, your relation to that person, dear sister, or you can add the job title of that person. For example, dear manager, dear CEO, dear director, or if you don't know any of that, you can put dear sir or madam. Here are some expressions that you can use in a letter or an email. It's the same thing almost the same thing when it comes to a letter and an email. So as I said, that's where you're supposed to start from dear to the end here. Yours very truly. That's one way to use the complementary closing, and then the signature. And by the signature, we mean just writing your name, John Wilson, as an example. John is your name, Wilson is your family name. Of course, in the back exam, you're not supposed to use your real names. You're supposed to come up with an imaginary name, um, and never put your real address. Imagine an address. If you are going to write any address somewhere in the letter, in an essay, or any other piece of writing, wherever you're going to write that on the exam paper, just don't write your real name or your real address. Remember that. As I said, from dear to your complimentary close and the signature by writing your name. We go back in here. This is an example. This is an example. You can pause that to see this example for applying for. Here is the beginning. I'm writing to apply for the job vacancy that you have published in that newspaper. So this expression can be used to start any letter. I don't mean that this is the only one that is correct, but this is one way to start any letter. And this is one sentence that can be used to end any letter. By any letter, I mean any letter, or email for that matter too. If you're applying, you can send them, you tell them that you are sending your CV to by using this sentence in the end. Otherwise, you don't need this sentence if you are writing another type of letter. Best regards is used in many formal letters. Yours faithfully, or yours sincerely, or yours truly, as we have seen here. Yours very truly. So best regards, you can omit that, you can forget about it, or you can add it, which is better. Yours faithfully, and in the end you write your name. You don't need to sign any letter, just write your name. That is the signature. These are some expressions, new vocabulary items that you may have came across in this you may have come across in this lesson. I'll be attaching this document with the video, which I'll be putting on YouTube. This is all for this lesson. I'll try to do more for the next lesson, that is lesson 8, because I'm starting from the end of the book. Hopefully I'll be able to cover lessons 7 and 8. This is the end of it. I wish you the best. I hope you'll make it in the back exam. Good luck, especially for my students of economics, the 2025 economics class. Good luck.